Good morning. Once again, another ride with me to work as I ramble on video. This video here, I just feel I don't know, what do you call it? An intuitive drive to shoot a video as I drive. I just want to make some, this, as my videos are, they're usually just my video diary, me getting my thoughts out. Instead of writing them out, just recording them out. Technology can be wonderful. And while you're driving to work, if you're not listening to music or something, it makes for a good time to just think out loud and record it. So anyhow, it's kind of like voice to text type thing, I guess. I can scribble out my diary notes here. Anyway, I was thinking about, as I was walking to the truck, about, intuition. I had to get the phlegm out of my throat there. Intuition, intuitiveness, omens, signs, dreams, visions. Well, it's ironic because as I was getting my phone to set it up in the holder here and to record this, I had the phone open to YouTube before I left the house, and my YouTube feed refreshes, and it's literally the top video, and I haven't been watching any videos about this. The top video was about intuition. It was a video by somebody about intuition and following your intuition. So I will take that as a sign to make a video or get my thoughts out on intuition, intuitive drive, omens, signs, things like that. Now, people are familiar with the whole phenomenon of 222 and 1111. I can remember back when the 222 thing started for me. It was really weird. I had never heard of this stuff. It was back in 2000. Oh man, I don't remember if it was 2006 or 7 or 8 or something like that. I can't remember. And somebody had told me, a guy who was an atheist, didn't believe in any spirituality. And I was friends with him. And he told me about how he said, man, I keep getting this 222. This is before, like I said, this is like 2006, 7, something like that. He says, man, I keep getting this 222 and everything. He's laughing about it. He says, I was playing a video game, got 222, and I looked at the clock, 222, and he said, I got this check coming in the mail I wasn't expecting, and he shows it sitting on his kitchen table. He says, look at this check. This is what I was telling you about, 222, $222. And he's talking about this 222, and he's just laughing. He just thinks it's a weird coincidence, because he didn't believe in anything spiritual or metaphysical. And back then, I was just a Christian, so I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I come across someone I had known for a few years and lost contact with them for a few years. And they were telling me, and we're talking and chatting, and they came over to visit and everything. And they were talking, and they said they had this dream. And it was really a wild dream, and, things like that, and future times and all this, like they were in the future or something. And this person was a Christian, and said, they woke up from their dream in the middle of the night. Said this was a real powerful dream. They didn't know what it all meant, but they said they woke up and they said they looked at the clock and it was 222. I went, whoa, and these two people didn't even know each other at all. And I was like, wow, And the person said, what's wrong? Because they were just seeing my mouth drop. And I'm like, I told them this other guy had this phenomenon with 222. So that really, I didn't know, I'd never experienced anything like that before. That was weird. Well, then I started seeing 222, buying gas. It'd be $22.20 or something like that. I would buy, it would just end up, my tank would be full, Then a few other things came up, 222. Then in the middle of the night one night, I just woke up for no reason, looked at the clock, 222. Well, then a few nights later, it happened again, 222. Woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Is this the Holy Spirit of God? Because back then I was a Christian. I was like, is this the Holy Spirit? Is this God trying to tell me something? Well, that, I guess you could say that's when that sort of phenomenon came into my awareness. And once you become aware of something, it's like people want to talk about when you buy a particular car or something like that with some color, and all of a sudden you start seeing that same model car in that same color, you start becoming aware, because there's nothing but conscious awareness. So you become aware. Okay, now But I've also had dreams. I don't have them very often, but I have dreams of things where I will know things that are in existence that I don't know about in somebody's life or something like that, and I will know. And one of my very first prophetic dreams it was many years ago. I was 18 years old, 18 years old, maybe 19. I can't remember. I think I was 18 years old. Well, anyway, almost 19. I had a dream. It was really, they talk about a dream in Technicolor. It was a very colorful dream, very clear, and it had all these specific things going on in it, and it was information about some people. I knew the people, but I also knew they didn't like me. But I had information that there was no way I knew. I knew of things like, particular things about their house, their vehicle, things like that I had no knowledge of, could not have had any knowledge of. Well, I had this weird dream and all this, that, and the other, and it was, letting me know these people were basically, backbiting me and things like that, had evil intent. Well, I didn't know these physical things, these physical realities. Well, then I come to find out they did have one was the guy had a pickup truck that I didn't know about, had no muffler on it. Well, I didn't know. And that I didn't know that they had a white pit bull that was chained up to a tree out in their yard. I had no clue of those sorts of things. Well, in the dream, all these different symbols showed up. Now, my wife had a dream a few years ago, and it was a lot going on in the dream, a lot of things happening in the dream. And the dream had it had some symbols in it of certain things happening. A person going through a doorway with a certain thing in their hand and stuff like that, different stuff happening. And different symbols of different people do it with certain symbols and things like that. Well, one of them was an individual who was in a wheelchair. Well, this person at the time was not in a wheelchair. Okay, different symbols like that. Well, that dream proved out the things happen and the physical symbols happen. I call those markers. And I've known people who've had dreams. They told me their dreams, and I was able to interpret them. And they had physical markers that would be symbolic of actual events or things in life that would let you know that this dream was locking down information that you could not have known, or the person dreaming couldn't have known. But the symbol, what's going on in the dream, like a person with a red shirt with a coffee cup on it, printed on it or something like that. But then the person is doing something, whatever, in the dream. Well, then you have a dream, and then you see that person one day wearing that shirt with that coffee cup. Doesn't mean they're doing those things that moment. I'm trying to give examples of symbols of things that are actual physical markers that'll let you know that dream was real. Now, where's all this stuff come from, by the way? It's your higher mind giving you a heads up, letting you know. That's a form of intuition, a form of inspiration. Christians call that the Holy Spirit talking to you. It's simply your higher mind, higher consciousness, talking to what we call the lower mind, or the human ego, which, by the way, everyone thinks ego is bad. Ego is not bad. That's how you experience this reality. It's your virtual reality headset, your five senses, and your human brain, all that stuff. It's your goggles to get under the water, to scuba dive and be able to see the underwater. This reality, this matrix, this dream matrix, you are God dreaming. But you can't actually experience this world if you don't have a VR headset on, which is your ego and your physical five senses. So none of that is bad. None of that is bad. It's when you let the ego brain, or what the Bible calls in the theological term, the carnal mind, make the decisions based off of fear or lack or anything like that. Anything that's based off of love or in the state of abundance is good. Okay. Now you can have abundance of bad things, but you know what I'm saying. Abundance of good health, abundance of love, abundance of all sorts of material, what we call blessings, money, all those type of things. You can have abundance of that. In fact, focus on the abundance. Okay. And from a loving and life perspective, of energy of life, Love is life. Life is love. So anyhow, live, laugh, love. So these symbols, omens, and things like that. Okay, and then of course, if you know anything about, symbols like birds, American Indians, the Nordics, the Germanics, the Celts, the Chinese, everyone has. There are 3 ways to interpret the language of symbols. Birds, and by the way, numbers are symbols. Number 7, any numbers are symbols, and 1 through 9 or 0 through 9 are all symbols. Runes, things like that, are also symbols, of course. Nordic, Germanic, Saxon runes, things like that. These are all symbols. Those come from the Phoenician language, but anyway. So anyhow, these are all symbols, and higher mind talks to your, quote, lower mind, or to your ego. It talks to you through intuitive feeling, and that feeling will sometimes give you symbols. The symbols will come up in a dream, for example, or numbers on a clock, whatever. But symbols will come up, and it's telling you, because symbols carry something that words cannot express. Even the Bible talks about things that are unspeakable, things that are so holy you don't speak out loud. What that's based on is it's not that there's nothing you can't talk about. That's bullshit. But anyway, what it's saying, or say, no words you can't say, or unutterable, as the Bible would say, not holy to speak, blah, blah, blah. No, what that means is it's hard to express in language. Spoken and written language has its confines or restrictions. It has its limitations. But something like expressing and feeling can be done through symbols. That's what flags are used for. Corporations that are, with their ads, they use everything from colors to numbers to, phrases to words to images to all that to advertise their stuff, right? Politicians do that. Propaganda, all that kind of stuff, because that's what politicians and corporations specialize in, is propaganda. That's what that is. It's speaking to something that your conscious mind, which understands language, can't really filter out. It's a feeling, right? Well, in your higher mind speaks to you through the language of feeling, not emotional feeling. That's different. Not your ego feeling of sadness, happy, giddiness, elation, or anger, sadness. It doesn't talk to you in that way. It talks to you in something much deeper than that. Your higher mind does, when I speak of feeling. So the higher mind does communicate. And even this guy was an atheist, was talking about that. I knew another guy who was an avowed atheist who told me about a phenomenon that happened to him. He said he was dreaming, he was lucid dreaming, he was just waking up, that hypnagogic state, which is almost a hypnotic state, where he said, I was just waking up that morning, and he had a big aquarium, and he had fish in it and stuff. That was one of his hobbies. And he was sleeping, and he was waking up, before the alarm clock goes off. He's just starting to wake up. And he said, I remember I had this dream that my aquarium exploded. Not like a bomb, but just like busted, right? And he said, man, I woke up. He's telling everybody about this dream. He says, I woke up, and he said, just as I opened my eyes, my aquarium goes, bam, and the glass breaks. I forgot what he said happened, but the glass broke. So he got up real quick, and he's getting the fish and trying to clean up the mess and all this, that, and the other. And he never understood that. He didn't understand it because he said, well, I'm an atheist. I know weird stuff happens, but he said that all I know is I dreamed it before it actually happened. Right, and it happened within a minute or so of having that dream. So anyhow, which to me, both those atheists, the one with the 222 thing and the other atheist about the aquarium busting, the lucid dream about the aquarium busting and then it actually physically happening about a minute later, is, to me, that was their higher mind trying to get their attention. In the Bible says, now I don't take the Bible literally anymore. I'm not a Christian, haven't been one for a few years now. But I see the Bible just as a mystical book with some good mystical information in it, and a lot of bullshit too that's been added in, but some good mystical information. Just like any kind of religious text will have some good metaphysical, mystical stuff in it. So anyhow, in the Bible it says, the fool has said in his heart there's no God. in Proverbs, I believe it is. Or is that Psalms? Anyhow, the fool has said in his heart there's no God, and what that means is that you know, I mean, you don't have to believe there's an actual God, because I no longer do. I did for almost 40 years of my life and walked away from that foolishness, but I've seen that there's consciousness. That's why I never was an atheist. Even when I was a kid, I couldn't understand atheism because I was like, well, I wasn't raised in a religious house. But the red light's making me look red. It's the devil. So, and these red brake lights and red light. So, I always knew there had to be intelligent design. Okay, there was intelligence. Now, both of those atheists, by the way, when I would ask them back when I was a Christian, I'd say, well, don't you see there's some sort of design? And they would say, yeah, they just don't think it's the Bible God. And I said, well, okay, I get you there. I understand. I disagree with you. Now I understand what they were saying, but there is intelligence. All of creation, if you will, or all of physical matter is intelligent. The double slit experiment, quantum scientists are beginning to understand that matter at its quantum levels does some very interesting, weird, but yet seemingly intelligent things, like it's conscious, like it's aware to some degree. And that conscious awareness affects it, our conscious awareness, and that's what the double slit experiment, which has been done since the late 1800s, has been done over and over by different scientists, different labs, different countries, and they all getting this exact same results, that matter at its more quantum level is aware, has a consciousness, and it is affected by our consciousness, the observer. When a human person in the lab is observing the double slit experiment, where they shoot the photons through these two slits and look at the back wall, what happens when they go. And of course you can Google that, look that up if you don't know what it is. But anyhow, and you can prove to yourself that matter is intelligence, and that consciousness is the only reality. And that's the only objective reality, and that this seemingly physical material, seemingly real world is actually not reality. It's a pseudo-reality. The experience is real, but we're nothing but consciousness. And the out-of-body experiences that have been recorded over and over and over and documented, even by people who were formerly atheists, proving that they are their consciousness and not their body, because they can go out of their body and know things and go places that while their body is in one place, so know things they shouldn't know because their physical body wasn't there and their physical brain wasn't there. So that's telling me right there that, I mean, to me at this point in 2026, you're just a fucking idiot. Matter of fact, you're being deceptive to your own self. You're just a fool if you don't believe that there is something beyond the physical reality, because the more quantum physics studies the very nature of matter, physical matter, molecules, atoms, biophotons, subatomic particles, all that shit, photons, as they begin to explore all that kind of stuff, they're finding that consciousness, this is all just made out of dream material. And that's something the mystic schools, the New Thought people, the mystery schools, all of that, and the occult has been talking about for many, many, many centuries. Millenniums, hundreds, thousands of years. So we're in a dream matrix, and we're all nodes of the one universal mind, or universe people call it. I don't mean the universe as in the cosmos, the stars, and Milky Ways, and comets, and asteroids, and all that. I'm talking solar systems. I'm talking about the universe, the universal mind, consciousness. This seemingly physical world is nothing but made out of dream, or it's a dream material, I call it. It is just simply, some people describe it as consciousness crystallized or slowed down, or the vibration lowered, so that we can have an experience, and then we're given this virtual reality headset, this physical consciousness and physical body, physical body with its five senses and its physical brain, which I call the sixth sense, really. So, and it talks to you. Your higher mind talks to you. Religious people call it gods or your ancestors. Any of these channeled entities like Abraham, Seth, Ra from the Law of One books, Law of One, Seth, Abraham from Abraham Hicks, Bashar, that's being channeled. Those are just, and they even say it. They admit it when you pay attention to the material and things that they've said that are in the books or in audio recordings, they all say that they're actually just us, that we're all just one. And that's higher mind talking to you. But other ways your higher mind can talk to you is through some signs and omens, and through dreams. People have visions. I've never had a vision where, I was awake, and I've known people that had them, and they describe them. It's like kind of like a movie screen or something. It just comes up before their eyes, and they seemingly see it through their physical eyes. And now I've had a few people who have had visions about me. I mean, they were awake. I was in the same house with a guy. He had a vision about me in real time. I was in the kitchen, and he came in there, and he had a vision where he's seen something. He said the wall. He's looking at the wall. He's just not thinking anything particular. And all of a sudden, he said it was like a screen came up before him, and it was about me. And the thing he's seen was some information I had been seeking. I needed to know, and it was physical information about something. And without getting into the story about it and everything. And he confirmed it, and I made a phone call, and it confirmed, because I was trying to figure out something. I don't want to get into it, but anyway. And it freaked him out. He said, man, I've seen that. But I've had other people who had awake visions about me, and there were information that later proved to be very, very true. I've had dreams, and like I said earlier, I've had dreams of things I did not know, could not have known, and they were facts that were true at that moment. Like I was talking about the people with the truck without a muffler and the dog and all that chained up to the tree. That was my very first prophetic dream. That was, like I said, I was about 18, almost 19 years old when I had that one. And I have them randomly, and they will tell me information. I had one just a few years ago, and I shared it with some people, family members, and they told me, yes, the information I was telling them was true. There's no way I could have known the information. I knew that. And it was about some things had to do. It was actually helping people heal, really. And I said, well, I had the dream twice. Now, I just recently had a dream twice. It was about a loved one, and it had symbols in it. There were a time where I was having a negative spiral. Basically, I was spiraling, and I hadn't had one since 2016, and a negative spiral, because I had learned metaphysics, and I was learning how to not get in a negative, because that's when I got serious about metaphysics in 2016. And so I started, negative spirals when you just start getting caught up, wrapped up in a negative thinking pattern about something. You just, oh man, what's this going to happen? Blah blah blah. You start getting frustrated and stressed out. And I was having a negative spiral. And I remember saying, higher mind, help me. And about that time, my wife had fallen asleep. She was taking a nap. It was the afternoon. She was taking a nap. And I just remember just sitting there, and it wasn't 3 or 4 minutes later. It was under 5 minutes. She just shoots awake. And she says, man, I just had this dream. I said, what? And she told me this dream. And this dream literally, and she goes, I don't know why I had this dream. She told me the dream. And it literally was an answer to it immediately. I said, well, that was higher mind. I said, my higher mind, because you're the only one in your universe. In other words, you're the God of your universe. You dictate what goes on. It's not about controlling other people. You're controlling how you experience people. So somebody else can have a dream for you, or vision, and I've had people have dreams and visions about me, and they came to pass, or they were right information through my life. And that's your higher mind will talk to you, will help you. If it has to use other people, if it has to use symbols, it has to use omens like birds or trees. Now, there's three. I meant to explain this. There's 3 ways that the symbols are used. One is a universal, like bird or a tree or the number 7. It's pretty universal in its general meaning all across the world, all across cultures, all across history. Like a bird or a mountain or a tree or the number 7 or something like that. Now, then there are cultural meaning within your culture, American Indians, and then particular to that, maybe that tribe, or the Navajo may have a different meaning for something than the Hopi or something. Their Germanic people may have something a little different in a meaning to the Celtic, and then within the Celtic tribes or within the Germanic tribes, so it's cultural. And the third is personal. What a symbol means to you particularly, okay? Your particular relation to, if a turtle means something to you, or a bird is particular. Like, you remember you had a pet turtle when you was growing up, so it's a symbolic of something, you love that turtle or something, a particular number can have a particular number. So the one is universal. The other is across all cultural lines, basically all through history. The symbol always meant something general and or universal. And then there's the cultural, and the culture can be the bigger culture, or even just your local town's culture, or your family's culture for that matter. That manly. And the other is individual. I'll continue this video a little later as I think of things to say, but I just wanted to make these notes about how I do know for a fact that omens and signs, I don't want people to get wrapped up in. There's some good teachers on YouTube and the internet that warn you, don't let signs, don't get wrapped up. And that's why people keep seeing like 1111 or 222 or whatever numbers you're seeing, 777, or just the number 7 or the number 5 or the number 6 or whatever. And by the way, the number 666 is not a bad number, nor is the number 7 just universally just a good number. There is bad and good. It all depends on the situation. Just like the symbol of a bird can be good or bad. It's not bad omen. It's just telling you something, right? So, and then the particular bird, a crow, symbolizes death, but it could be just ego death, right? The hanged man, death of ego, or like Christ was crucified upon the tree that he might rise again. You die to one state of mind that you might be rise in another state. And that's why he was crucified, as Neville Goddard taught, and the mystic schools taught that, like the Rosicrucians and stuff, that Christ was crucified on Golgotha, which means place of the skull. It's within the mind. It's all consciousness. Michelangelo's painting of God and Adam, God is inside of a cranium. It's clear. So it's the consciousness. It's God becoming man, that man may become God, as the saying is. So the early Christian mystic from 15 or so 100 years ago. I can't remember his name right now. Artemis or something like that. I talked about him in a previous video. But signs and symbols and omens and things like that are just, and dreams and visions and things are to teach you. It's not that you have a locked-in destiny is all type thing, or dharma, or your fate. It's not that something is locked in. It's your higher mind actually communicating to you. And it's a good thing. You can use the information to help your lower mind, So, welcome those things and use them as tools. But they're not dictating anything to you. They're just helping you along the way. And it's always positive. Your higher mind is never going to lead you wrong. It's always wanting to show you and lead you in the right direction. All right, I'm going to end it here, and I'll probably pick this up later. Okay, as we get ready to start the work day here, waiting for them to bring me some cars out to tear up and crush down. One thing I do want to say is Neville Goddard used to say desire is divine. And what he meant by that was, it's divine, all right. It comes from your higher mind. Desire itself. People go, I don't like to listen to my intuition, or I can't hear my intuition, or, I don't get any inspiration from any metaphysical field or universal field or universal mind. Every time you desire something, it's a true, genuine desire. That's intuition. That's telling you what your future can be. If your ego mind will accept it, consent to it, and feel like it's already done. Just feel the satisfaction. You feel the desire, well, the satisfaction and the desire are all one thing. Feel the fulfillment of it already. Just enjoy the feeling of it, because we do everything for the feeling of it anyway. You don't get that new house, that new car, the love of your life, the healing in your body, the better relationship with a coworker. You don't manifest those things for just the physical. You do it for the feeling, because you're nothing but consciousness. So you're doing it, again, not for the emotional feeling, which you'll have emotional feeling, but it's not for the emotional feeling. You're doing it for the feeling of ease and relief and fulfillment itself. We do everything for the feeling of fulfillment itself. So it's satisfaction. So when you desire something, satisfy yourself. Satisfy that desire immediately in consciousness by accepting that you have it. But desire is your intuition. And it is your intuitive guide. It's letting you know what you can have, because you can't desire anything that you can't have, you can't experience. So accept that experience as a fact and fulfill it. Don't feel lack for it anymore. Don't feel desire for it anymore. Feel fulfillment. And don't worry about when it's going to happen. Just let things happen. And one of the ways of letting things happen is when you get intuitive dreams or visions, or somebody has them about you, as in my case, or I have dreams about other people. Never had a vision, but I've had people have dreams and visions about me, and they were right. It was stuff that there's no way they could have known. When you accept that, you've accepted the fulfillment already. When you accept that those things, when they come to you, and you accept them as guidance, is what I meant to say. When you accept them as guidance, don't overthink it. Don't worry about it. By the way, dreams, visions, things like that, even if they have supernatural knowledge in them, or something about something that's already a physical fact, or whatever, or something that's going to happen that does happen, does not mean it's locked down. It's not, like somebody has a dream, something bad's going to happen to somebody, does not mean, I've seen this happen, it does not mean that you're locked in destiny and you can't change it. Destiny is all, as the Last Kingdom, says, in the show TV series, Netflix series Last Kingdom, destiny is all, but that's not, no, there's nothing locked in. You don't have a fate, you're just locked into karma, that you're a karma cycle, which karma comes from a Sanskrit word that means momentum. That momentum, you can change your momentum, any negative momentum, just like you can change any positive momentum and start thinking and from the state of something negative or positive, depending on the opposite of whatever the situation is, right? So, but yeah, I just want to get that in real quick. I'm going to start the work day out here. They're bringing me cars now. But yeah, you want to accept the fact that it is done. So, but if there's something you don't like, you can change it. By the way, you can desire good things in your life and just keep on having doubts and it never happens. So it doesn't mean that a dream or vision or omen is locked in. That's the way it is. I do want to say something real quick now. When you have a dream, Neville even talked about it. When you have a dream, and I've experienced this myself, you have a dream more than once, a lot of times it's locked in. But it's not going to be something bad. That's a little different. I don't mean to contradict myself. That's a little something different. Usually it's good dreams, and you have them twice, it happens. But it's, for me, in every experience I've had, and I've had a few dreams that happened twice, it proved to be, it was always about something good. But again, just because you desire something, have a dream or a vision that, or someone has one about you of something good, doesn't mean it's going to happen if you don't accept it. Okay, if you're always in a negative state and just fighting against it, or all that. But same thing, if something, a lot of times a dream about something or a vision or an omen about something bad is just giving you a heads up. That's all, just letting you know. All right, I'm going to end it here and I'll pick it up later. All right, it's our first break. It's morning break time, and we continue making my notes here and sharing them with whoever wants to listen to this video. One thing about the 222 thing, what had happened is all of a sudden for me, it was paid for gas like that day or the next day, and it was $22.20, so it was 222, right? You don't count the zero in numerology. But anyhow, and then it was the next day after that, I bought something, I think it was Home Depot or something like that, and it was $22.20. I'm like, wow, that's weird. And then a night or two later, I woke up, middle of the night, just woke up out of a dead sleep, looked at the clock, didn't have to go to the bathroom or nothing, and it was 222. I was like, wow, that's freaky. And the next night or the night after that one, I don't remember, but bam! So it was like within the first week or so, it was like this 222 thing. I was like, what the fuck? And that was like in 2006, 7, or 8, somewhere along there. I thought that was weird. Another thing I want to talk about is the everyone is you pushed out concept. Neville Goddard talked about that. Everyone is you pushed out. Well, that is, so when people talk to you, you've ever had strangers or coworkers or loved ones tell you things, and they just tell you something that seemed random or whatever? Man, I've had that happen. And what it was, it's kind of like in the Matrix where Agent Smith would show up and different people in the street, whatever. And it was like that. I've had that happen quite a few times where someone would just say something random to me, and I didn't understand why they would say it, but it was like it was what I was literally thinking, or an answer I was seeking, or something like that had nothing to do with them or whatever. And then like a day or two later, you go, why did you bring that up? Why did you say that? And always they would go, I don't know why I said that. Okay, that's everyone you pushed out, because the whole wide world, your world, is just you pushed out. It's projected. You are a point of consciousness. We each are points of consciousness. We're all fingers on the same hand of the one universal consciousness, or one universal mind, playing different fingers, playing different human characters. And each character has its own levels of potential. And those potentials are let known to you by desire. So desire is not, it's prophetic. Neville said it would, a man tell me his desires, and I can tell you his future. What he meant was if that man consented to and allowed it to happen. Because desires are basically prophetic. But again, prophecy is not locked in. It's not locked in like you just, that's the way it's going to be. Good or bad prophecy, right? It's just telling you the path you're on. That leads me into the concept of tarot. I have seen tarot work. I don't use tarot, but I've had tarot cards pulled, and I've seen it for other people. And it does work. It's a type of guidance. It's just a way your outer mind, your higher mind talks to you through symbols, synchronicities, tarot cards, zodiac, astrology, things like that. It will talk to you, but never take or use any of that specifically to guide you, right? Tarot, good tarot readers will tell you, tarot just tells you where your mind is at that moment, right? If you use any of these divination tools, they're just telling you where you're at that moment. It's not locked in. It's telling you the momentum or the karma wheel that you're on at that moment, the trajectory that you're going. That's all it's telling you. And they're tools. Now, synchronicity, it is said that our natural good spiritual state is when we have synchronicity. A lot of synchronicities. Synchronicities themselves are not signs, but you can use them as signs to let you know, hey, I'm in the flow here. I'm in the state of effortless action, or Wu Wei in Chinese. I'm in a state of flow. We know about how athletes will just seem, or musicians will, as they're performing on stage or something, will seem, or dancers will seem like they're in the flow or in the zone. Well, that's flow. That's Wu Wei. That's when you're just letting your higher mind take over and guide you along. That's what you're doing and what you do, whether it's dancing or sports or whatever it is in life. Now, if you want to be, you can't, just like no athlete can be in the state of flow or in the zone the whole game, or at least not every game, or not their whole life. Well, it's the same. We can get into that flow. We go in and out of that flow state. But the goal here is that you want to live in that flow state as much as possible. This is the Kundalini snake going up and down the ladder, up and down the 33 vertebrae of the spine. This is Jacob's ladder with the angels going up and down the ladder, up and down the stairs to heaven and earth, right? Above and below, below, above. As above, so below, as below, so above. As within, so without. As without, so within. And that having that equal exchange, that good rhythm back and forth, because you'll think as a human, and you'll think from a human ego character, and you'll be playing that, and then you'll come back, spiritually minded and think intuitively. And that's what I'm trying to talk about here, is using these omens, dreams, signs like that as simple tools, not to tell you what to do, but to kind of give you an idea where you're at. Because desire, dreams, prophetic dreams, to tarot cards coming up, to everything, to whatever, these synchronicities, as Carl Jung talked about, these synchronicities, they're just letting you know where you're at that time, and you can use them as tools to help you. But the hope for me, as I told my wife, I said, I'm seeking to live more in flow, as Hermetic mysticism calls it, or in the Chinese Tao Te Ching, it's mysticism, and metaphysical book, the Tao Te Ching, by Lao Tzu, talks about effortless action, or Wu Wei, where you do the action like an athlete or a dancer, but it just seems like you're just floating, you're in the zone, right? And I want to be more in that zone. And the more synchronicities you have in your life, just things just clicking, all the lights are green on the red lights going down the road, the green lights, all this type of stuff, just things just flowing, working out for you, okay? Because everything is always working out for you. The problem is we interfere with our negative thinking, our negative focus. So because your reality is created by where you focus your attention, where you put your awareness. If you put your awareness on, financially struggling, or in bad health, or not good relationships, or lonely, or always have junky cars, all this, if that's where you put your focus all the time, then that's just going to be perpetuated, right? That's that momentum, mental momentum. That's where your awareness is, and it's just going to be that way. But if you put your awareness on, no, I have an abundance of money, always have more than enough money, I have good health, I have a great relationships, I have a happy marriage, whatever, I have a great job, I have a great vehicle, I love where I live, my home, whatever, and you put your mind on that, and you choose that to be your awareness, even if none of that stuff is true, or whatever, some of those things aren't true for you, and the opposite of what you want to manifest is not true for you. The point is to accept, to choose, because that's all you are, is a chooser node. You're a node of the one mind playing a character, and it's playing all the different characters. But in your world, in each of our worlds, we are sovereign. No one or nothing outside of you decides anything. That's why prophecies or anything like that, are not locked in. They're just letting you know the momentum of where you're headed, good or bad, and also telling you things that you can experience. Because higher mind knows what each character it's playing, each human character is playing, its potentials and what it potentially could be. At this point, it could be potentially here, and then later on, it could be even more, more, right? You have the potential to learn to play the guitar, and then next thing you know, you have potential to be a professional musician. You have potential to make more money than you make now, and the next thing you know, you have potential to become a millionaire, right? So you just keep going, growing. There's always more potential. So there's potentials in all kinds of different areas of your life, whatever's relevant for the character that you're playing. The one finger off of the one hand, the node, the expression. Now, as that node, you're a chooser, and you get to choose what is true for you and what is not. And as you continually to choose, as your mind wants to drift over here and say, yeah, but my bank account says it, you go right and say, no, I have plenty of money. I have an abundance of money. No, that bill's paid. I ain't worried about it. I don't know where the money's coming from. I have the money. It's already paid. Once you satisfy that desire in mind, in consciousness, you go about. Now, if you still you want a good job, you have a shitty job, right? You hate the pay, you hate the boss, you hate the pay, all this, that, and the other. It's not what you like to do, etc., etc. Okay, fine. And whether you know where you want to work or not doesn't matter. You say, well, I already have a better paying job, better situation, and just fulfill yourself in mind. Then you go back to your job. You don't like where you work, you don't like the boss, that's fine. But you don't focus in that misery anymore because you know better is coming. You already know. Now, I don't mean a faith or hope or putting it off in the future. You're in the state it's already done. You feel fulfilled. Even if you're not fulfilled in the relationship, the job, the finances, the health right now, if you choose to feel that way and you because all is mind and all is mental. And living is nothing but an experience in the mind. Everything's in your head. Literally. Everything is in not your physical cranium, but in your consciousness. Because again, you're not this physical brain. You're not this nervous system, this brain and spine and all that. You're not that. This is an expression of that. But that's not what you are. You are eternal consciousness. And that's why people can do out of body. Now, I'm trying to wrap this up. What I want to talk about is the living intuitively and using these signs and omens and synchronicities, all these things to kind of let you know where you're at and give you a feel where you're at, because the whole wide world, not just the people, but everything is pushed out, is expressing you. It's a mirror of you, right? This is the mirror effect. And so if you don't like what's in the mirror, you don't try to change the mirror, try to change the outside world. You don't try to change people, how they treat you. Don't try to change your bank account by figuring it all out. Because if you do that, you would do it. Instead, what you do is you say, I will feel the fulfillment anyway, even if I can't. A man, Neville Goddard used to talk about a man in prison can get himself out of prison simply by just accepting that he's out, even if it doesn't look like he's ever can get out. I knew a guy who was sentenced to over 20-something years in prison, and he said he just changed his mind. He didn't know anything about manifesting or anything like that. He just changed his mind and just started seeing the world differently, started to change his attitude in prison, everything. And he said all of a sudden, just a series of seeming miracles got him out. He actually tried to kill a guy. He shot him at point-blank range multiple times. Years later, the guy showed up at his parole hearing and said, I forgive the guy. I understand. I had made him mad. And that helped him. And he got out after 10 years. And he was sentenced to over 20-something years for attempted murder. You can... people that have stage 4 cancer or given up to be paralyzed forever, and they, in their mind, they just say, no, I'm already healed or whatever. I'm walking out. My wife talks about a story she heard about a man who was a quadriplegic, paralyzed from his neck down. And he said, I will walk out of here. And they said he would never walk on it, and he walked out of there on his own. Not in a wheelchair or anything. They allowed him to walk out. Normally you have to be in a wheelchair. They have to at least roll you out for insurance reasons. But the point being is that if you desire it, is absolutely possible and a potential for you. It's up to you to keep choosing it over and over. Every time you check you look at your bank account, you're not looking to see if money's changed, got more money as an example, or the doctor's report, see if it's improved or anything. You don't look to see, do I have the new job or whatever. But my point is, you don't look to the outer world. Look inside first and say, I already got that new job, I already got the health I want, the weight I want, the money I want, I've already had the trip I want, or gone to the concert I want to go to that I can't get tickets for normally or whatever. Anything, got the love of my life in my life. You accept that as an already done deal because you're a chooser node. Your outer world, the omens, the symbols, things like that, they're not dictating anything for you. They're just in synchronicities, all that kind of stuff. They're just giving you guidance. And they have helped me a lot, encouraged me. These people have had prophecies that came to pass that were good stuff about me that came to pass years later. Our youngest son, my wife and I, our youngest son had a dream about something. We were in a very opposite situation, and he had a dream. It was a very positive dream of an actual event that would happen, and it did not happen until 3.5 years later, and we didn't even know. It was just a dream. He told us something he had seen, and there was actions, and he was present in the dream. He said, I was present, and this thing happened. And 3.5 years later, he goes, oh my God, this is exactly what I told y'all. And it was literally as he described, it was happening. And what did that dream do for me? It let me know that a decision my wife and I had just recently made a few months prior it was like, wow. And he'd had that dream like 3.5 years. So sometimes you have, like I said, my wife woke up, within 5 minutes of me, stressing about something, and she had this dream that showed me something, guided me something. So your higher mind will talk to you. It'll talk to you through desire, which is intuition. It will talk to you through, maybe you've never experienced any of this woo-woo stuff like prophecies or visions, or had anybody have them about you, or you've never had them. Maybe you've never experienced any of that kind of stuff, but you've experienced quinky dinkies, like synchronicities and things just flowing for you, right? That's reflecting to you your state, the state of mind, the perception. All is consciousness, and within that is multiple, endless ways to look at things. Money, for example, or health, different perspectives, different states. And those states contain the perspective, and they also contain the physical reality for you. So you're a chooser node, and you get to choose how you see things and how they're true, even if they're physically not true. Again, change self, not the mirror. Change concept of self. Change your identity. I am the person that has money. I am the person that's healthy. I am the person that's, got that rare car I want to collect, or whatever it is. I am that person, and just fulfill it in self. The outer world is nothing but a mirror, and even all this woo-woo stuff, any of that kind of stuff, synchronicities, numbers, it's just guiding you along. It's not telling you what to do. It's simply letting you know where you're at. Like when tarot reading, it's just letting you know where you're at that moment. That's all. And you can change it. So if somebody has a dream, or you have a dream of something bad, or vision that's bad about something, simply change the momentum. Change where you're at. Change your state. If a tarot reading comes up, and it, if you do that kind of stuff, use it as tools, okay? Like I said, I've seen all this stuff work. But you should mostly live it by where your state is, where your state of mind is on the topic. Don't look to tarot reading or astrology or prophecies or anything like that. But if they come, use them as tools. They'll let you know. All right, I think I'm going to end this video here. I may do another video about intuitive living because that's what I have given myself to do. I told my wife that a few years ago, about 3 years ago, I said, I really want to get into this concept of Wu Wei, of flow, and effortless action, and living more intuitively, living more in my spirit, having more of an open channel to heaven, to my higher mind, to the universal mind, to consciousness, and to really live this character called Ryan, live this character out and follow my desires. And in the meantime, just allow things to come. Just allow things to work out. Don't force anything, and just be yourself. Be the character you are, the true, authentic human character that you are. But the whole time you're open, because you know that you're just playing a temporary video game character here in this Matrix or movie. All the world's a stage. I think Shakespeare said all the world is a stage. That's all you do. You're just playing a character. Live it intuitively. Living more feelingly, not emotional feeling. Fuck the emotion shit. I'm talking about really what feels right to you at that moment. And again, you'll have synchronicities in your life. They'll happen anyway. And if you do have any woo-woo stuff like prophecies and visions and dreams and things like that, that's just all the more fun. It just helps you. All right, I'm going to end it here.